Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Phil Brooks. I am the Director of STEM Workforce Partnerships at the University City Science Center. I am really excited to have Patick Oates with us here this evening. Patick is the Senior Vice President of Strategic Planning and Business Development at EMSCO Scientific, Inc. So welcome, Patick.
Thank you, Phil.
We are going to jump straight into questions. And I think what folks really want to know is, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about EMSCO Scientific, Inc.
Great. Thank you, Phil. Thank you for this opportunity. I am a proud Philadelphian, born and raised in Philadelphia, having been educated in the public school system of Philadelphia. Initially, I went to school in Philadelphia at W.B. Saul High School, which is a vocational agriculture school, and Roxborough. And I developed an interest in animal science and animal husbandry. After graduating Saul, I went on to Tuskegee University, an historically black college in Alabama, to pursue a bachelor's degree in animal science and agriculture. Had a wonderful experience there. Took that education to Howard University after being inspired and encouraged by one of my professors to complete a PhD in physiology and molecular biology. And during that period of time, I got bit by the pharma bug, so to speak, and decided I wanted to take my PhD into industry. So after I completed the PhD, I moved on. I came back to Philadelphia to live and to work, and have been here for now 20 years. I've had a wonderful career in the pharmaceutical industry. I started out of graduate school at the bench as a researcher at GlaxoSmithKline, and then I had the wonderful opportunity to move into the commercial side of pharmaceuticals, and then ultimately into manufacturing in other areas. Worked at GlaxoSmithKline, took my experience to Aventis Pharmaceutical Company, which became Sanofi Aventis, and then to Wyeth Pharmaceutical Company, and then to a couple smaller pharma companies, and ultimately to here, EMSCO Scientific. EMSCO Scientific is a 40-year-old minority-owned scientific company. We source laboratory supplies, laboratory equipment, chemicals, pharmaceutical excipients to the pharmaceutical industry, and we also support bio-innovation at the universities in the area. For instance, the University of Pennsylvania is probably our largest academic client, and Merck Pharmaceutical Company is our largest pharmaceutical client. We have many other clients in these areas, in Philadelphia, in this geography, and beyond Philadelphia. I'm excited because I'm back here in Philadelphia and certainly working in science and technology and innovation, and doing wonderful things to employ men and women of all walks of life in the STEM economy.
That's awesome. That's really good to hear. So you mentioned a couple of things that EMSCO does. So my next question really is, has it been challenging sourcing materials for some of your general products? So some of the things that you distribute on a daily basis. Has it been challenging to find materials for those products?
Well, it has not been challenging to find products. Let me clarify. So as I mentioned, historically, we've sourced laboratory supplies and equipment. We've been doing that in chemicals for 40 years. We've identified several very large manufacturing partners that we work with. Corning is one of them. We've been able to source supplies from Corning for many years. VWR and Avantor is another. And Fisher Scientific is another source. So we have not been challenged. We're very fortunate that we have great relationships with these international manufacturers and distributors. So we work very closely with them. We also compete against them. Fisher Scientific is the world's largest distributor of laboratory supplies. They not only manufacture, but they distribute. And so we compete against them, but we also partner with them. For instance, at the University of Pennsylvania, we have a wonderful, rich partnership with Fisher Scientific supporting bioinnovation at Penn. We partner with VWR, which is the second largest world supplier of laboratory supplies. We partner with them at Bristol Myers Squibb in sourcing laboratory supplies and equipment. Now, recently, PPE, or personal protective equipment, has become a major segment of our business. And as a result, we are now sourcing PPE from as far as China. Now, PPE has become challenging for us to source because of the competition and because of the tremendous need for PPE, not only in this country, but throughout the world.
Yeah, you definitely hit on two of my other questions at the same time. So one of them was, are you in competition or cooperation with other cities or with other companies, specifically other counties in relation to PPE? And the other combined question would have been kind of like, what significant changes has EMSCO seen during these uncertain times? So hitting a little bit more on the question of just like the bigger changes, what are you doing now that you were not doing before this? And I think you hit on that a little bit, but if you can expand a little bit more, that would be great.
So because of the universities being closed during this pandemic season, if you will, because of the decline or the significant decrease in productivity of the pharma companies and academic institutions, it's become essential that we kind of look at opportunities for to employ our personnel. And so PPE has become essential for us. As you mentioned, it's become very difficult to source PPE. Though we've had significant success, it becomes challenging because the world is trying to source PPE, not just Pennsylvania, not just New Jersey, not just the United States, but the world is trying to put their hands on PPE. Now, we're very fortunate to have 40 years of experience in procurement and sourcing of essential tools used in healthcare. So consequently, we may have resources and contacts and a network that other companies may not necessarily have. So we're very proud to be looked upon as a solution for major entities like CHOP or the University of Pennsylvania in the sourcing of PPE, because we, in a sense, are helping to provide a solution during this very challenging and difficult pandemic season.
Gotcha. And then, like, as a business, I think like during this time, it makes sense that, potentially, and I might be speaking out of turn, but, have you seen a difference in revenue between, post COVID to now? I think one of the things that's really important is all the work that you're doing, but, has it, in addition to all the busy continuous work you've done, like, are you just seeing just an increase in sales? Are you seeing an increase of just revenue for EMSCO?
Well, I won't say that we've seen an increase in overall sales. We've definitely seen an increase in PPE sales, but in terms of laboratory supplies, we've seen that segment of the business decrease significantly because of the lack of personnel that are able to meet the needs in their workplace. But we're very fortunate. We haven't had to lay anyone off or furlough any of our employees. And that's, we're grateful for that, because a number of businesses throughout this region, throughout the country, have had to lay off employees or to furlough employees. And we're very fortunate that we haven't had to do that.
That's amazing. Yeah, I've been hearing very similar things across the country, more specifically across Philadelphia. And like, we're hearing so many different statistics. A lot of numbers are being thrown out there. So to hear that EMSCO is basically like putting the needs of their employees at the top is at the top of their priority list is amazing to hear. One of the other questions I did have was, with everything changing so rapidly, do you think that there will be opportunities for men and women or anyone of a diverse background, potentially without a four-year degree, to participate or to work at a science and tech company, or maybe specifically EMSCO in the near future?
Most certainly, Phil. Because of, we're all very fortunate to live and work in Philadelphia, which has been designated as Silicon Valley, if you will, because of the future of cell therapy and gene therapy in this city. Those of us that are working in the STEM professions in life science are ideally situated to be a part of something really huge for this region, for this country. We're very excited to be a minority business owned and operated by African Americans, in business for 40 years, tenured in life science, well respected as a value-added partner, if you will, in sourcing laboratory supplies and equipment. We're very fortunate, Phil, to be a part of an organization that is hopefully going to be pivotal in helping to meet the needs of large and small biotech, life science companies in the years to come. What we try to do is to try to stay cutting edge, if you will. We want to be on the cutting edge of science. When you talk about cell therapy and gene therapy, that's cutting edge science. And though we've been sourcing laboratory supplies and equipment, what I've encouraged the principals here at EMSCO to do is to look beyond just what we've been doing for 40 years, but look at new, innovative opportunities to help add value to those companies, those entities here in Philadelphia that are engaged and involved in life science, cell and gene therapy research.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. And I think just being situated within the West Philadelphia community, you see a sense of folks reaching out to you or looking to you for some of those cutting edge technologies, or essentially, identifying what the next steps is and, following some of the best practices of some of the companies like yours. So, I mean, to end my questioning and jump into some Q&A from the folks on the call, what's the next step for EMSCO? What's the next move? Where do you see yourself next week? Where do you see yourself next month? What's on the horizon for EMSCO?
Well, Phil, you and I have talked on a number of occasions about the need to employ all men and women in Philadelphia to provide opportunities that will lift those that are struggling, those that are languishing in poverty in this city. We all know that Philadelphia is the largest, most impoverished city in the country, but yet there are opportunities that exist in life science. And so what we have to do is we have to be about partnering, collaborating with large and small scientific companies looking to diversify their workforce. Yeah. And quite frankly, EMSCO is ideally positioned to do that. We're in the process of building a new 75,000 square foot facility in Parkside, which is probably less than a 10-minute drive from the University City Science Center. Mm-hmm. And so as we look at the growth and development of the Market Street corridor and the many opportunities that will exist for men and women to be employed in the life science and STEM economy, we don't want to forget those that are historically disenfranchised, those that have been disadvantaged. So we think that at EMSCO, at our new facility, we'll be able to hire, to first train, to hire and then train men and women to work in the STEM economy. You know, we hope for some of them to be highly educated, PhDs, but we also recognize that there are a number of men and women who are only high school educated. We hope to be able to employ them, to give them an opportunity to earn a competitive salary, to take care of their families, to take pride in who they are, to take pride in caring for their families. We are going to incorporate a biorepository within our new facility that will give us the opportunity to store cells, to store proteins, to store tissue and DNA and RNA that is used obviously as a tool in cell and gene therapy. And we want to provide that service to not only the Philadelphia area, but the tri-state area. And we are more than confident that we'll be able to employ well over 50 to 100 people to work in the STEM economy that perhaps would not have been given that opportunity if it weren't for this venture that we're investing time and resources in.
Yeah, so I'm at the edge of my seat. Like I'm super excited. I don't know why I'm controlling myself, but that is something I think, you know, moving forward in any situation for workforce development is exactly what, you know, our city needs. Definitely something that you and I have had lots of conversation about. So I did have one more question in addition to this before we get to some other folks. So for the youth in the city, like if there's any specific, you know, combination of words of wisdom for some of the young people who are looking towards science as a career, or technology as a career, but may not have the conduit, what kind of like words of wisdom would you give to some of the folks, you know, maybe some of even the graduates of high school this year who are graduating seniors, but may not be able to go to school in the fall? What maybe are some words of wisdoms for some young folk looking at science and technology as a career moving forward?
You know, I'm of the age now that, and I recognize that when I was in high school, no one had access to a computer. I mean, I don't think I knew anybody that had a computer way back then, a personal computer, that is. But nowadays, young people have information at their fingertips. They use, I tell my 16-year-old daughter, who has a phone and has had one probably for the last 3 years. I told her, I said, dear, you have a computer in your hand. I said, take advantage of that computer. Don't ask me questions about, you know, whatever it may be. I said, refer to the computer in your hand. If you're interested in becoming a molecular biologist or a virologist or an epidemiologist, right, do your due diligence. Yeah. Google epidemiology, Google virology, and do a deep dive, a search of all that it would take to become a virologist or an epidemiologist. I said, you know, young people have access to far more information than those of us that are in our 40s or 50s. You know, when we were young people, adolescents. So, I try to tell young people, dream big, but also prepare big. Prepare yourself for new and innovative opportunities. Dream big. Don't necessarily dream about working for someone else. Dream about entrepreneurship. But entrepreneurship is rooted in helping to meet a need. Whatever that need may be, that's what entrepreneurship is rooted in. And do your due diligence and research. But also think big and dream big.
Amazing advice. Amazing advice. So I'm gonna turn this over to Jake to see or monitor if there's any questions in the chat. If folks are willing to unmute themselves to ask Patrick questions about himself or EMSCO, now's the time.
Cool. Yeah, so we did have just one question in the chat currently, but as mentioned, feel free to keep adding them here. I believe you probably touched on this, but if you want to go into any more depth, someone asked, what are the qualifications required to work at EMSCO?
Well, we have numerous jobs at EMSCO. For instance, we hire men and women who, like for instance, we have a sales force. And so currently we don't have an opening in sales, but men and women that have worked for me in sales typically have a degree in some area, whether it be biology or chemistry, or perhaps training as a sales representative, but may have a degree in psychology or English or something like that, but have years of experience in sales. We also have a logistics team, men who drive trucks, who perhaps have no college education, but have a truck driving license, and perhaps have years of experience driving trucks. We also have warehouse personnel, men and women that work in the warehouse that don't necessarily have a college degree, have high school diploma, but have drive, have the momentum and overall interest in working and working hard, quite frankly, to manage the warehouse. We also have folks in customer service. The folks that work for me in customer service aren't college educated, but they have training in customer service, have been doing it for 20 plus years. And they're very good at customer service. We have our clients know them by name. They call them, they know them by name, and they know that whatever it is that they have, whatever issue they may have, is going to be resolved by my very able customer service representatives. So most of the jobs that we offer at EMSCO do not require college education. I think out of I'd imagine about 25% of our workforce is college educated. I am the only PhD here at EMSCO, but in the years to come, I hope to hire others that have the advanced training that I've been very blessed to have.
Great. And actually, I just had a follow-up question to that, kind of based on your answer. Do you see opportunities, or has this already happened before, where someone enters without a college degree and they continue their education and thereby kind of opens up doors for them at EMSCO?
Well, yes, Jake. We actually took advantage of an opportunity to hire a young woman right out of college. She was a Bloomsburg college student. She had not completed all of the requirements for the degree, but we hired her anyway. And so she's been with us now, I want to say about 9 or 10 months. And she is to complete her all of the requirements for her bachelor's degree within another month or so. So it depends on who you are, what kind of person you are, what drive and motivation you have, whether you are a go-getter, whether you're assertive, whether we connect with you. There are exceptions that are made, but she was certainly one that was an exception, and we're very happy that we decided to hire her in spite of the fact that she didn't meet the full requirements of the job.
Great, cool. All right, we have a couple more minutes here. If people have any questions for Patrick.
This is Tom Dalfo. I'm with PIDC. I have a question. It's for Patrick, and it's probably for Phil, and really anybody else who may be able to add something to it. So we're looking to reposition some industrial properties, older industrial properties along the Schuylkill River to support modern biotech manufacturing facilities. So right in the wheelhouse of the type of stuff that you talked about, Patrick, as opportunities. And one of the things that we're focused on doing is trying to identify the types of job opportunities that will exist in a cell and gene therapy production facility, and try to work with education providers so that folks who are interested in the nearby communities in South and Southwest Philadelphia are positioned to be able to compete for those jobs when they materialize in what we hope is, probably 24 to 30 months. And I wanted to get a sense, are there any particular programs that sort of exist that you could point to that would be helpful as we start to talk to community organizations to get people teed up to be ready for the opportunity when it arrives?
Well, thank you, Tom, for that question. I'll have all of you on the phone to know that the property that we've acquired to build the 75,000 square foot facility was PIDC property. And the PIDC was very influential in helping us to identify that property and to begin to even conceive the idea of using that property and building on that property. So we're very grateful.
Just to be clear, I did not ask Patrick to say that.
So, very happy. And it's so important. Relationships are so important. Many years ago, I established a relationship with Mr. D'Alessio. I don't know if he's still the chair of your board or not, but
he literally stepped down about 3 weeks ago.
Right, Walt D'Alessio is a
after
Philadelphia
44
icon.
years.
And he was very influential in helping us to walk through that process with PIDC. To answer your question, Tom, it's so important. Collaboration and is so important. It so happens that the Wistar Institute, who I've been associated with on their leadership council and their scientific advisory board for years, has a program that trains young men and women to become technicians in the life sciences. That's a thriving program in partnership with Community College of Philadelphia. And there are other programs like that, but that is probably the most advanced biotech kinds of training for men and women who are interested in life science and life science research. Does that answer your question, Tom?
It does. Thanks, Patrick.
Okay.
Is anybody aware of any other sort of programs that might be out there? Because my sense is there's a limited amount of space available in programs like especially a really rigorous one like Wistar's.
Yeah, there is one Jefferson Institute for Bioprocessing in the Springhouse area. I can't speak directly for them, but they definitely have a program for bioprocessing. A lot of their work is amazing. They have a facility in the Springhouse area that's actually 6 minutes away from me. I would definitely encourage folks to look them up. Jefferson JIB, so Jefferson Institute for Bioprocessing. They have a very strong, thriving program that they work with a number of partners with. So that's another source for you.
Yes.
Hi, Thomas, if you're still there, this is Dara Ruiz-Whalen. I am from eClose Institute. We are a Philadelphia-based program, and we actually work to train high school students, undergraduates, adult learners, and community members in the biotech and biomedical fields. We've done face-to-face programming before. We do professional developments, but now we are pivoting because of COVID this summer into a hybrid online program. And I'll be happy to talk to you more. And Phil knows us, he's over there smiling in the corner.
Yeah.
And we work with Phil. So I'm happy to carry this conversation on beyond this room.
That'd be great. I really appreciate that. And we'll definitely connect and I want to explore all these. And I think it's a little ways down the road, but what I've learned with sort of any types of job training is that it's never too soon to start, because if we wait until somebody starts putting a shovel in the ground, it's probably too late. Mm-hmm. People will be behind the curve. And our goal is to try not have that be the case. And to point that Patrick was making, we're trying to find a way to make that the types of employees who are at a facilities that are hopefully going to be developed on the sites we own are more representative of the population of the city than they are.
Cool. All right. Well, that's our time. Thank you, Patrick and Phil and everyone else for joining.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, everyone.
All right, guys. Take care. Enjoy your evenings.
Thank you.